Okay, so
Yes.
is it?
Yes, we are recording now.
So welcome everyone. We're gonna talk today about women's health and hormones. We're not going to just talk about female reproductive system. We're going to talk about the whole endocrine system. I'm going to pass over to Laura to start with. So we're sharing the presentation today, so it's both of us doing it. If you've got any questions, if you could put them in the chat, and we will either look at them as we go along, but if we can't do that, then we'll look at them at the end and have a bit of a Q&A session. Okay, Teresa, do you mind just keep checking in on the chat for us, so we're not looking at that as well. Laura's going to start off. I'm going to just keep looking at admitting people. We felt that it was an easier way than last week when I was trying to do all of the little intricacies. So I'll pass it over to Laura.
Okay, hi guys. So we are going to talk today. This title, I'm not sure I like it. Maybe next time we will change it a bit, because it's not, when we talk about hormones, for some reason we go into female hormones and we talk like only the female have the women have a thyroid, or so it's pretty much the same hormones. Females have testosterone as well, male has estrogen, so it's just, I think it's both females and males. We have the same glands that produce hormones, so yeah, it's misleading. I think the title, Rachel, we'll change it next time.
Agree with that. Okay.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, because we are talking now, this is specifically for women, how is your monthly cycle? And if you are peri or post-menopause, how are your symptoms? So this is just something for you to reflect on and see where you are. Also, we don't talk about this enough, but males, they do have a monthly cycle as well. They are not very aware of it, but they go through pretty much the same things like we are. And if you look at those areas of hormone balance, which one are the difficult ones for you? And just have a look and think about it for a second. If you're struggling, and you can put it in the chat, that would be really cool. If you feel like it, you can put it in the chat so we have an idea who's on the call, and maybe we can help you better. So these are some of the things you might encounter, like difficulty losing weight, but actually we know about the thyroid that it can actually make you lose a lot of weight. So it depends on what kind of hormones the thyroid produces, or the mood swings. Those are really frequent. We have them every month. No matter where we are in our life. And yeah, so just have a look at that and maybe reflect on that. Take a photo, and yeah, mood swings. Okay, so we have in the chat, thyroid for me, memory, weight, adrenal, fatigue. Okay, we're gonna touch a bit on the adrenals as well. The little glands that they are so tiny, just on top of our kidney, and they are, oh my God. Mood swings, Evelina says. Oh yeah, we here as well. I will raise a hand for Rachel as well. Okay,
I'll carry on. So remember that if we're talking about hormones, it could take us probably a week and we wouldn't cover everything. So this is a real basic introduction, a real basic overview, and things that have helped us along the way and helped others that we know. All right, so always remember that when we're talking about this. We don't see ourselves as experts either. We're seeing ourselves as people that have experienced some hormonal issues in our lives, and we're talking from that place. Okay, so I'm sure you know anyway, but the endocrine system is, we have glands throughout our body, and they're there dealing with hormone production. Okay, so you can see this diagram here, hopefully on your screen. Putting it really bluntly, We've got stress going on in our head. We've got sexual organs, male and female. We've got thyroid, which deals with the metabolism, pancreas with the blood, and thymus with immunity. That's like real basic, okay? I can read through this as well. Directly involved in growth and development, metabolism, nutrient regulation, and overall homeostasis, so balance in our body. A system of glands that produce and send hormones to targeted organs and tissues via the circulatory system. Essential oils can be very beneficial since they're circulated in the same way and profoundly benefit the cells they encounter in the process. So a little bit of background, I feel, why I'm particularly talking about hormones. And some of you on here, if you do have similar issues, please say, and we can maybe talk at another time. But from the age of going through puberty, actually, I had hormonal problems. At a very early age, I was put on the pill for painful periods and regulation of my menstrual cycle, and just stayed on it. That's what I did. I didn't think anything of it. At the age of 21, I had stage 4 cells on my cervix. I had to have colposcopies and different procedures to get rid of that. And then, unfortunately, I had my first child at 20, just turned 28. A few months after he was born, so he was still a newborn really. I had some real serious issues. I'd started, I was breastfeeding him and stopped breastfeeding him, and within 8 weeks, my hormones had been all over the place, as you can well imagine. I produced a gigantic cyst the size of a melon on one of my ovaries. I knew there was a problem. It took a long time for it to be discovered, and then it became quite a serious emergency situation where I was rushed in and operated on in the middle of the night. And I then found out that all my issues that I'd had was down to having something called endometriosis. So when they opened me up, they removed half of my ovary, the big cyst, and had to unstick all my internal organs. They were all stuck together with endometrial tissue. So it was quite extensive surgery at the time. It was a bit of a shock, but I knew something was really wrong and I didn't feel listened to. And unfortunately, with things like endometriosis and polycystic ovary syndrome, which is another thing that I have, often it's gone unrecognized. It's, you've got your period, suck it up, it's painful, suck it up. I think things are better now, but they weren't then. That's like nearly 18 years ago, and it wasn't okay. I was told that I'd never have any more children. I was told that I would be on medication for the rest of my life, and I probably would have a hysterectomy. So it was a bit of a shock when I had a little one. Well, he was 7 months old. So it was a real shocking situation to be in. And I decided in that moment that I didn't agree or believe that, not the diagnosis, but the treatment. So that was when I started looking into things like essential oils and a wealth of other things at that time. And if you do suffer with anything like that, I found, and I read at that time and did extensive research into it, that just simply eating red meat could cause me to produce more cysts. So I became vegetarian at that time. I then looked at the emotional issues as well. That's when I discovered EFT, and some of you know I'm an EFT practitioner now. So it did a massive overhaul of my health. I never took any medication. That was my choice at the time. And I really feel that I healed myself through looking at alternative therapies and looking at the whole picture. So at nutrition, at essential oils, homeopathy, but massively my mind and my emotions. So it was a big journey. I did get another cyst, but much smaller. And a lot of you on here know me anyway. I went on to have 2 more children. Brilliant and easy pregnancies, whereas the first one had been horrendous. Second and third were great. So if you have a diagnosis like that, or you know someone that has, please don't see it as the end of the road for your fertility or the end of the road for your health. There are other ways to look at your health, and there are other ways to just work alongside medication as well. I'm not here saying you mustn't take medication at all. What I'm saying is my experience was that I didn't then need it. So that I wanted to just share that little nugget there, because I'm talking from a place of having huge hormonal issues and flare-ups, and I do get flare-ups occasionally now, but I've found the sweet spot for me that really helps, and if I do that, I know that I can manage my hormones really successfully. Right, carrying on. So we're not going to talk about lifelong vitality in great detail here, because we have talked about them over the course of the last 8-9 weeks, and we know, people that are on the call, there's a lot of you that have been joining us every week, we know the foundational nutrition for optimum hormone balance and energy levels. We know this. I know when I take them, and of course I only started taking them probably about 3 years ago, but I saw a vast improvement in my hormonal symptoms. So I wouldn't say, I've not gone through the menopause yet, but I would say that I'm 46, so I know that I'm probably on the cusp of things starting to happen. But I find that they help with my mood balancing, they help with my PMS, they help with my flow even as well, when I'm very regimented with taking these, the Lifelong Vitality Pack. They're there. If you want to know more about the pack and you haven't been on these calls before, please reach out to the person that enrolled you and they'll talk about it with you in more detail. Teresa wants to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say also, for anyone that was thinking about fertility issues, this pack, because it's 12 portions of fruit and veg, it's hard to eat that much a day. It's hard to get the nutrients we need from our food because of the quality of the soil. So this is just a really great foundation. So give yourself, like, it works out to be, what does it work out to be? £2 a day if you took a full dose, or £1 a day if you're taking it a half dose. So you're worth that. So you are worth that, and it's less than the price of a coffee either way, whether you're doing a full dose or a half dose. So it's just a very good foundation. That's all, and it's whole foods when you look at the ingredients.
Personally, I would suggest I now take a full dose, and I find that works far better for me with the hormonal issues that I have. If you have a teen that has hormonal issues, then they can start taking it half a dose. My son is almost 18, he takes half a dose and he finds it really helps him balance his hormones, and particularly with his energy levels. So I want to talk about hormone disruptors as well, because I think that's really important. So we have hormone disruptors in our bodies, so we have an imbalance. And with those imbalances, there can be, I think Teresa's already said about this really, significant physiological effects on the body, all right, if you're out of balance. We need our hormones to be balanced. I know we all know this, but we really do need them to be balanced to try and help us with feeling good, actually. And things like poor nutrition, so the Lifelong Vitality is obviously going to help support that, but if you eat really badly and take this, that's not going to cancel it out, just to say. You need to also be thinking about what you're eating as well. Things like inflammation in your body, infection in your body, adrenal stress, a sedentary lifestyle, so if you're not moving enough, autoimmune diseases, toxicity, which is really important. Hi, Tom. Toxicity and insulin resistance, all right? So they're all things that will disrupt your hormones, okay? And we need to remember as well, when we're looking at imbalance of our hormones, that unfortunately age can play a part of that. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at regulating our hormones, and it means that we can be easily out of balance and not feel great. And again, there's a few reasons for that, which are exactly the same as the others: lack of exercise, poor nutrition, medication, chronic stress plays a huge part in helping our hormones go all over the place. And again, insulin resistance, right? So it's just a couple of things to bear in mind if you're someone that really struggles with your hormones, okay? Moving on. I'm going back to Laura.
Okay, I was muted, sorry about that. Yeah, so I think that's really important, and Rachel mentioned that a couple of times, and I want to say it one more time. Stress is playing such a huge role in our hormonal balance, and that is mainly because we have 10 in total. There are 10 glands in the body, and 3 are in the brain that produce and regulate hormones. So and if you think of the thyroid, for example, it is the pituitary. It's controlled by that. That's the supervisor of the thyroid. So that's why the stress is so important. We have 3 in the brain that control the entire body. The liver. I love this organ. This is one of, I always say the liver is like a factory, and it's a factory that we can't afford to shut down. Without the liver, our body would stop functioning. Basically, we would stop existing. It's the main, just this is very basic. What does the liver do? It's a big organ. It's about 1 kilogram, 1.4, 1.5 kilograms. And the blood goes from your gut up into the liver, and from your heart down into the liver. And the liver, what the liver does, will filter that blood. And not only filters the blood, but produces nutrients, stores nutrients, releases toxins. So it's a big manufacturing in the liver. And that's why the care for the liver, that's why what Teresa was saying about doing a detox at least a couple of times a year is extremely important. What we need to understand is that the liver also produces cholesterol, and cholesterol is the one important component in the producing of hormones. So, and I'm not going to go into details with bad and good cholesterol and all that, but just so you know, if we don't have healthy liver, then everything else, the hormones will be out of balance for sure. And what can we do to help our liver? Well, drink plenty of water. We know that. Because if we drink plenty of water, that will help obviously with the oxygen in the blood. And so it will help our liver. It will help just release the toxins in the blood, and the liver doesn't have to do a lot of work anymore. It's not here, but I would like to mention that it's good to have a break in between meals and have like a sort of fast in the evening, stop eating at 7 in the evening and eat in the morning after 8 or something like that. Just give your liver a break, because the liver is one of those factories that never stops working. And it's really important to give our liver a break if possible. Zendocrine is one amazing product for the liver, and it's really great support. I take both actually, the oil in the capsules, and I take which one is that one, Rachel? Is that the soft gels? Yeah, we don't have the other one. Do we have the other one here?
The Zendocrine detoxification complex, you mean? That one?
Yeah, do we have it?
It's out of stock. So
okay.
It exists in the UK market, but it's been out of stock for so long. I don't know what's happening. When I say so long, like a year. Since the last time I did the cleanse, that didn't happen. It's a shame. It's the herbal complex version. So you've got the oils and Zendocrine, and you've got herbs that are supportive. Like I think milk thistle is probably in it, but maybe not.
Okay.
But that's what's different about them.
I never use that one. That's why I'm asking. I never use that one.
It's not just a different delivery mechanism. It's a different thing. I think it's not available. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no worries. So I use that one, and I use Slim and Sassy. And Slim and Sassy is really great because it will help with the blood sugar level, and also it helps with the cholesterol. So that's why probably we decided to put it here in this slide with the liver. Next.
Do you want to move on?
and the adrenals. So the adrenals, as I said, are those two little glands on top of your kidneys, and they produce adrenaline. And you know, that's great for the body. It's amazing, and you need that, as I always say. If you need to run away from a saber-toothed tiger, adrenaline is amazing for you. However, we are not in that kind of danger anymore, but still, because we are under so much stress, our adrenals keep producing adrenaline when we don't actually need it. And what you can do, apply magnolia. Magnolia is probably one of my favorite oils. I absolutely love it. And I'm going to go into a bit into the spiritual side of magnolia. If you know Vanessa Jean's book, she talks about how magnolia is like a grandmother who loves you unconditionally, and I really, really love that. Yeah, so it's not only, but the components in magnolia are really beneficial for our adrenals. And another thing that I want to say about magnolia, magnolia is actually one of the first plants on Earth. Apparently, magnolia was here before bees, and it used to be, how do you say it? How do you say it when you move the pollen around, Rachel? I'm losing my... Sorry?
Pollinators?
Yes, so the beetles would do that for magnolia. So it's one of the ancient plants on Earth. Mito 2 Max is amazing for energy and stamina, but also will help with, you know, when you have enough energy and you feel good in your body, it's just obviously you're not going to be stressed, and then the adrenals won't overproduce adrenaline. Other supportive oils here, basil is one oil we don't talk enough about. Is an amazing oil for so many things. I love it, but yeah, so basil is a really good one here. Lemongrass, ylang ylang, grapefruit, and bergamot. And you can make a blend. Obviously, you can make a blend and apply it every day. And Mito 2 Max, I don't have. For me, it helps greatly if I take it in the morning. I keep saying if I take it in the afternoon, it's a bit too much for me, because I go into, I have too much energy and I'm not going to sleep at night. But I know Mito 2 Max has been a great support for so many of my customers, especially with adrenal fatigue. Is one thing they say they can't live without.
Could I just comment, because I have...
Please.
I had adrenal stage 3 fatigue when I first had them tested, when I got chronic fatigue syndrome, and I looked a lot into adrenals. So yeah, basil was number 1, and lemongrass. So I come up with this little diffuser blend. So basil for my adrenals and lemongrass was invigorating, and the rosemary for focus, because I would have a lot of brain fog. And that was kind of my afternoon diffuser blend, or my daytime diffuser blend. And it smells beautiful together. So that's just a little blend tip. And I've also been trying to take the basil internally more than I have before, like rather than just in that diffuser blend to use it internally.
Amazing.
As we're talking about basil as well, remember it's amazing for inflammation, and it's also fantastic for cramping. So if you suffer with period pains, actually basil on your tummy, and if you've got endo, sometimes you'll get the pain going down your legs as well. And on your legs, it can really help with that inflammation and cramping. So I use it in that way. I use it for hormonal balance as well. It's a really good one. And Mito 2 Max, Dr. Hill said that was fantastic for hormonal balance as well. Some awesome products there. Right, I've got to find myself. Here we go. So I'm not going to talk to you about the female reproductive system, because you know what's there. We all know. But the point here is that we need estrogen and progesterone to keep our bodies balanced. And we often don't think about that. It's a real dance between the two, and we want to try and keep it as balanced as possible. And it can be tipped out of balance really easily from things like what I talked about before. So poor nutrition, lack of exercise, and chronic stress are the three big ones, really. And when this happens, you'll produce too much of one of them and the other one will be set out, and vice versa. Okay, so you're constantly doing this juggling act. And if you have issues with your hormones, this can be even more apparent for you. So for women, we need estrogen. We need estrogen for puberty and sexual development. We need it for ovulation. We need it for our eggs to mature. We need it for our uterine lining, cycle regulation, bone health, brain function, and neurological protection. So it's a pretty important one for us. But this is the key part. There's two types of estrogens, okay? We think that there's just the one that we produce. Lots of us will just believe there's one. But there's also a man-made estrogen called xenoestrogens. And this is where, if you are sensitive to chemicals, if you are we all are, but some of us are more sensitive than others, and will then produce hormonal issues, okay? So xenoestrogens are man-made, and they are found in an awful lot of daily things that we use, that we'll sit on, that we'll eat. So things like, it will be found in paint, it will be found in hair dyes, it will be found in plastics, it will be found in tin cans, it will be found in shampoos, conditioners, washes, processed food. So there you go. There's a few off the top of my head. Xenoestrogens are found in so much, and they're man-made estrogens, and they will act in the same way as estrogens do in our bodies. So they'll put our bodies out of kilter, and then we'll be finding that we're producing too many estrogens, and it's a big problem for us, particularly women. Okay, and you will find that you will then have issues like myself with things like endometriosis. It can really be that serious for you. So I try really hard to get as many xenoestrogens out of my body as physically possible. The way that they'll show up in our body are things like having menstrual problems, so either really light periods or very heavy periods, weight gain around your hips, around your thighs, PMS, fibrocystic growths, fibrocystic breasts, fatigue, loss of sex drive, depression, anxiety. These are all things that can be caused when we have too much estrogen in our body, and that does include xenoestrogens. So you can see the link, direct link between trying to not have chemicals in your bodies. So things like looking at natural skincare, natural hair care, natural cleaning products. You know, we can't do it all overnight, but it's a real gradual process to try and get these chemicals as much as we can out of our bodies and out of our lives. And of course, we are always going to have some xenoestrogens in our environment, because we've got paint on our walls, we've got carpets on our floors. You know, they are going to be there, but there are ways of getting them out of our systems by being more mindful with what we put in, the bits that we can control. I want to talk about Claricalm, and as Laura said at the beginning, please don't think of this as an all-female product. My 17-year-old, this is his second favourite oil. He absolutely loves it for balancing his hormones. And he has talked about it, hasn't he, Teresa? He's actually spoken at length about this oil because he absolutely loves it. He doesn't care it's called the Women's Blend. He's really comfortable and happy to say that this is one of his favourites. And obviously he's not using it for periods and PMS. Maybe he is using it for PMS. He uses it for mood swings. He uses it for balancing his own hormones. And just when he finds that he's not feeling amazing, sometimes we have to suggest to him to put it on, or I will have it on, and he loves the smell of it, so he will nestle in, have a cuddle, and it helps him. Even at the age he's at, he loves a cuddle.
Rachel,
yeah.
Sorry, I just want to say something, because you said earlier about the estrogen. So that man-made estrogen, the men are being exposed as well. So that's why Claricalm is not something only for women, because the men, they use shampoo as well, only one for body and hair and everything, but they still use shampoo. And you can see, you know, you don't say to your partner that the fat around their tummy is from beer, because sometimes it can be from that extra estrogen that they don't know what to do with it, because they are not supposed to have that much estrogen in their body. So that's why perhaps Claricalm is a great one for everyone to use, men or women.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And some men will have more breast tissue, won't they? For that reason. So with and Claricalm can be used right at any age. So my daughter's 15, but my youngest is 11, and to be honest, I think he needs to start using Claricalm. There's definitely a change and shift in hormones, and it's a great one to regulate. For girls specifically that struggle with abdominal cramps, etc., hot flushes when we going through menopause. At both ends of the spectrum, this oil is great. Often people use it as a daily oil. I don't. I use it sometimes in the summer. If I feel really hot, I'll put it on my neck with some peppermint. I use it for cramping, but I only use it at that time of the month. That time of the month, I will tell you, I absolutely hate the smell of it and it annoys me almost. But when I get it on and smell it, I feel the benefits. So you may find going through your monthly cycle that you will like this oil at some point and detest it at others. All right, so just a heads up on that. Rose is my favorite oil, as you know, I spoke about it last week, but it's a really great hormonal oil. I didn't like it for that reason, but I realized that I probably do. I apply it over my heart, and I apply it over my heart because it helps with my emotional balance. It's all about love, this oil, but it also is really good, and it's not something I use for this, but I know people that do. Well, someone's trying to come in to the waiting room, sorry, hang on. It's really good to apply over your abdomen as well for menstrual discomfort. And if you are thinking around fertility, it's really great for trying to help with that regular ovulation, so having regular cycles. Okay. Just moving on. Now this product is something that I would not go without. So I've talked to you about estrogen, I've talked to you about xenoestrogens, and this is phytoestrogens, which is plant-based estrogens, so naturally found estrogen in the plant world. It says it there. It assists to balance the deficiency, but also the excess of harmful estrogens, meaning the xenoestrogens, that will really help support that. It minimizes unwanted symptoms associated with menstrual cycle. I know that when I don't take this, my PMS is all over the place. I've still got a very regular cycle, but my PMS without this product and LLV is in a very different place. It contains products that are really good for healthy breast tissue, and it brings about balance in our bodies. Okay, so it's got flaxseed in it, it's got pomegranate in it, and they are there as naturally occurring phytoestrogens, like I said, to try and help block out the xenoestrogens and man-made estrogens that we don't want in our bodies. And like Louis said, that is men and women as well. So pomegranate can actually help with hot flushes and aging skin. So not only is it helping with getting rid of those xenoestrogens, it's also helping with our, if people experience hot flushes and they feel their skin is aging, it's also a really good product for that. With phytoestrogen, I use it to keep the pain away, really, keep the pain away, keep the PMS away. And I just feel it, I really feel that it helps me balance out my hormones. Okay. Yeah.
Some of you have asked how I'm doing, and actually maybe at the beginning of this call, I'm doing really bloody well. And a month ago, I was on a call where I was literally sitting in this chair Tanya was presenting, I was just listening, and it wiped me out for the whole day. Okay, I found it hard to cook dinner that night. And that was like a wake up to think I wasn't even presenting, and just being part of that 1 hour call, it was a wake up that I wasn't doing very well. So I have kind of refocused on myself and my self-care. So it's not the only thing I've did, but I have introduced the phytoestrogen complex on top of the lifelong vitality and the deep blue polyphenol complex for inflammation. That I know that's not hormonal balance specifically, or maybe maybe is going to come in later. But yeah, I'm curious how much of my improvement is tied to the phytoestrogen, but I'm going to keep taking it. I'm 46 and I have autoimmune markers for thyroid coming up. So I definitely need to work on my hormone balance. So yeah, I'm quite excited because I feel so much different than I did just a month ago.
Yeah, I think the phytoestrogen product is brilliant. I really rate it, and something I would talk about all day and recommend to everyone. So this one, Bone Nutrient, it's got calcium, vitamin D, vitamin 3, as well as your daily dose of magnesium and calcium in it, and vitamin K. So it's really good for bone strength and overall health. For those that have weak or fragile bones, bone fractures, and growing, for people that are actually still growing. So it's an all-round product just looking at your bone health. And I believe, yeah.
I remembered Emily Wright talked about this product and said that when it's used together with the phytoestrogen complex, they amplify each other. So it increases that xenoestrogen kind of reduction, I think, by 20-fold by taking this with that previous product. So that's why they bundle it together.
Yeah, they bundle it with the Claricam as well, so you can get it as a women's health package. I'm going to pass back to Laura now.
I have to remember to unmute myself. Okay, so the pancreas. This is another super important organ because many of the hormonal issues we have stem from being, as it says there, being insulin resistant. We become insulin resistant from eating too much sugar. That's debatable. And I'm not going to go into details there, but indeed, eating too much sugar and like food high on the glycemic index, like white flour, white rice, and all that can take us there, unfortunately. Why is the pancreas so important? And this is, I think this is something it's important to know. So the pancreas has two functions. One is the endocrine function and one is the exocrine function. And even though it's not mentioned here, so the endocrine function, basically it produces many hormones, actually 4. One is insulin and one is glucagon. So one of them detects if we have too much sugar in the blood and then brings it down. And the other one, if we have too little sugar, it will send signals to the liver and so on. So it brings up the sugar levels in the blood. The exocrine function, though it's not mentioned here, is when the pancreas produces enzymes that help digest our food. And so we have 3 types. One is responsible with carbohydrates, fats, and protein. And that's one of the functions that the pancreas has, and it's not here on this slide. I'm going to add it in for next time. To help us support our pancreas and our body, actually, and our overall hormonal balance. Amazing product, Terrazyme, guys. So, you know, if it's one supplement I would take, if you would make me choose between all the supplements doTERRA does, Terrazyme is the one I would go for. Because it's super important, helps with our digestion. And if the pancreas doesn't work properly, that will take us into imbalanced hormones. But if we have those Terrazymes and we take them, it will just support our body overall. Other things you can do, Slim and Sassy, as we talked about, Teresa was saying about cholesterol, and I said that when we were talking about the liver, but also it will help regulate the blood sugar levels. Grapefruit is an amazing one. I use grapefruit for cravings as well. So because, as I said, it's all connected, the brain and the body. And if you have sugar cravings, actually grapefruit is one of the oils that helps me with that. Peppermint and lemon. So you can take them in a veggie cap or in water, or yeah, in your tea with a bit of honey, however you want to use them. Okay, is this me, love? I don't know. Yeah, okay. And the thyroid. So the thyroid, that tiny gland, it's here. It's like a butterfly. It's a very tiny gland. It's basically, what it does is regulates metabolism. So and also it supports the liver, adrenals, ovaries, pancreas, pineal gland. So it's such an important one. And many people suffer with thyroid. And Teresa, you were saying that you have some markers now. And yeah, so it can be, the thyroid basically produces two hormones, T3 and T4, and that is about the iodine, the structure of the iodine. That's the difference between the T3 and T4. And if you have a overacting thyroid, then you will have symptoms like losing weight, being agitated all the time, not being able to sleep. And if you are not producing enough hormones, then you have the sluggishness, that you have gaining weight and being even depression. So can lead to that. Things you can do to support your thyroid. All these oils are amazing. Frankincense and myrrh are probably my favorite ones. But clove and myrrh, lemongrass, frankincense, and peppermint, you can make that blend and apply it on your thyroid as not only 3 times a day, as often as you want. Yeah. And also I want to say Claricalm. I find Claricalm to be an amazing oil to apply on my thyroid if you can stand the smell, because it's so close to your nose. So if you don't like it, if you're that time of the month when you hate it, don't go there. But I find it really beneficial to apply it on my thyroid. And also apply some oils like myrrh and frankincense on your third eye, because that's, as I said, the gland that it's like the supervisor for your thyroid. So I find that really beneficial for myself.
I'm doing lots of the tips as we go. I've just got my
Cool.
frankincense on there. My little quick tip on thyroid is that if you are getting it tested, in the UK, if your TSH, or if we were in the US and a TSH was over 2.5, would be out of range, and mine will be 5 or over 5, and the doctors are like, it's fine, it's fine. And that not being in the optimal range of under 2.5 can make you feel really horrible. So I think it is empowering to get your tests done with your GP to know what the range is, and to try to see if you can. I managed to get them to do a full thyroid panel because thyroid runs in my family, but it was a bit of a battle because I don't want to test anything else but the TSH unless they think the TSH is a problem. If the TSH is a problem, then they do these other tests. But I pushed for them to do all of them, but by really kind of like being like a dog in a whatever, a bull or something. And I managed to get them to do the full test. And it was only in the full panel that I could see the autoimmune markers were out, because my TSH, they think is fine. So I know that's a bit complex, but it might be helpful for someone. So now I feel like I know I have a hormone issue, then I can do this work. But if I didn't know that, I might think, well, that sounds like a lot of oil. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Teresa, for saying that. And indeed, different countries have different markers. However, I'm coming from a functional medicine background. What's normal, that it doesn't mean is actually optimal for us. So normal and optimal are completely different things. Just because you are in between those brackets, it doesn't mean it's optimal for your specific body. And indeed, in the UK, unfortunately, they will test just the total, the TSH. And even so, if they see there that you're out of range, they will go into testing the T3, T4 antibodies and the full panel. However, as you say, you can't see the other things, and you can be actually in the normal rate and not see the rest. And it's actually really, really complex. And if you can go into, I don't know, just convince your GP to do it, or there are many, many companies who do a full panel. I think it's great. If you feel like you're struggling with that, try to have them done.
And also ask for a printout of the results, which they don't even like to give you, because all they will tell you is it was fine, okay? You want a printout of the results, and then you want to probably talk to someone like Laura. Like Laura's a genius, functional medicine health coach, you know. But yeah, but you want to get a non-conventional medicine opinion on your things to know it, or do some research yourself.
Is that me? Okay. Sorry, guys. Yeah,
I'm happy to do it if you want.
If you want, however, I don't mind.
Go on, and I'll give an example of something after you.
Oh, cool. Okay,
yeah.
So the pineal gland is the one that produces melatonin. That's obviously the one that helps us sleep and regulates our circadian rhythms. And this is a really tricky one, because so many of us struggle with sleep nowadays. And that is because, you know, back in the day when we live in the cave, it was really easy. It got dark outside, we close our eyes and go to sleep. And maybe we wake up during the night if you hear noises in the forest because you're alert and you want to make sure you're safe. But now we have all these devices with all these blue lights around us, and our brain doesn't really know, the pineal gland doesn't get the signals, the messages that it should get. Like, it's dark outside, it's middle of the night, you should go to sleep now, because we keep our eyes open and we are always with the artificial light in our face. To help us with that, we know Serenity and Copaiba. We don't have the soft gels, unfortunately, but Copaiba can be taken in a veggie cap. Serenity put in the diffuser, and I find Serenity in the diffuser, and actually I have a blend with Serenity and Balance in a roller bottle, and I apply that on my body before going to sleep. And some form of, you know, when we think of meditation, I keep saying, people say, oh, I'm not good at meditation. I'm saying that actually, because we imagine this kind of thing. I'm just finding this one. So a Zen kind of person sitting on a rock somewhere. And that's not the only form of meditation. Just quieting our mind for a couple of minutes, that's enough. Closing our eyes and focusing on the breathing for 2 minutes, that's sometimes enough. So practice a form of meditation. And indeed, the pituitary gland is the master gland. As I said, it will be like a supervisor for your thyroid, and using things like Immortel. It's an amazing blend. Rachel's going to talk about that, I'm sure. And my absolute favorite is frankincense. I have a bottle of frankincense in every single room of my house. So yeah.
I was just going to add to that. I was going to talk about, it's called Salubel now, but it's an anti-aging blend, so it's really fantastic for your skin. You can dilute it down because it's pure oils in that. I dilute it down to 3 or 4 rollables. So put a third in each and top it up with fractionated coconut oil. I use it as part of my skin routine. However, I also know that it's a really good practice at night. So I put it on my face at night. I make sure I've got quite a lot under my nose. I put a little bit on my hands and I inhale it. It's got oil, it's got frankincense in it, sandalwood in it, helichrysum, myrrh, lavender and rose. So all oils that are really calming, soothing, relaxing, also oils that are great for our hormones. And like Laura said, practicing meditation doesn't mean you have to be sat there, you know, like this, cross-legged at all. What I do is I use heart math breathing. You can look that up. Heart math breathing is really good for centering yourself. You can literally do it for 1 or 2 minutes. The longer you do it, the more relaxed you can get. You can use visualization. You can use some more practice meditation where you're actually listening to something when you're doing it. There's so many different ways to meditate, but it's all about breath and calming down our mind and our chatter in our mind and accepting that chatter and letting it go, which sometimes is really difficult to do. But Sally Bell is amazing for your skin, but also think of it for slowing down your mind and meditative practice as well. What I do at night, I've just told you that bit. What I also do at night is I take frankincense and carbaiba every single night without fail. That's my little routine. So I will clean my teeth. I'll put carbaiba and frankincense under my tongue. I will put immortelle salivelle on my face. I'll put Serenity on my wrist, and I would have taken 2 Serenity soft gels. I never, ever, ever have problems with sleeping, even when my life is really stressful. I don't get the uninterrupted sleep. So that would be a suggestion from me.
Can I just touch a bit on the breathing and why breathing is so important? You probably know this, but it's, if you're running for your life, how's your breathing? Fast, right? The heart rate and the breathing. And the signal you send to your brain is you are in danger. However, if you slow down and if you breathe deeply, the brain will get the signal you're safe, you're not running for your life now, and it will just regulate everything. That's why breathing is so important. One of the reasons.
Laura, I'm doing sort of coming back to my breath, let's say, and connecting with it as a more powerful tool. That I've been doing that in the last month. And I found myself, I'm just going to say, Joan kindly was trying to help her elderly neighbour who's been feeling a lot of distress. And I went to her this week and dropped Adaptive for her. And I talked to her on the phone about how to use it. And I talked to her through how, to try to breathe in for a count of 6 and out for a count of six as she's smelling it. So I'm really trying to help people when I'm giving them an emotional oil with connecting with the breath when they're using it. And I think that's a really powerful combo that we can help, and a very simple tool that we can help people with.
That's why even if we have some oils in the diffuser, if you go into a room that has a diffuser on, your first instinct will be like to breathe in deeply, like, what's that? That's your reaction. That's why having oils in the diffuser all the time actually helps us calm down, because we tend to breathe deeply more often.
And if you haven't got a diffuser, guys, just put it in the palm of your hands, rub them together, and then inhale. And the other thing, if you are someone that does breathe shallow, a really good tip that I used to give to my students, like when I was teaching, if they would go into panic, would be to find rectangles around the room. So in a classroom, right, there's loads of rectangles, isn't there? But it's an actual breathing technique. So you breathe in down one side, you breathe out along the bottom, you breathe in along the top, you breathe out. So you're distracting your mind from what's going on, and you're just breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and doing it really slowly. And you know, in this room here, there's so many books, there's windows. You can use any shape, but a rectangle is probably the best shape because we have a lot of rectangles in our lives. But it's just a way to get people to calm their breath. And if they're doing that with an oil in their hands, and then they're trying to calm their breath down by watching using the rectangles in the room, it will slow their breath down even more because they're focusing on something else that isn't what's worrying them. So there's another little tip with breath. Maybe we should do a whole one on breath work, guys, because we use it a lot in our lives. This was something I was supposed to show at the beginning, and I totally forgot. This book, for anyone that has any hormonal issues, I think is a Bible, really, really helpful for all sorts of issues as well, from fertility right through to menopause. Okay, so it's the Essential Oil Hormone Solution. It's written by a doctor. She uses it in her practice, but she also used it because she had hormonal issues. I highly recommend it. Right, I'm going to stop talking. Laura, go back to you. This is just an overview, really, isn't it, of what we've already said?
Yeah, so these are all the glands. You can see them all there, and the oils that help each, as we talked about. Things that we can do, basically, care for the liver. First of all, care for the liver, the pancreas, the adrenals, and the thyroid. So these are the main ones and why do I say these ones? Because we can actually use some products to help each one of these organs, as well as taking care of the ones in the brain, of course, and we can do that with oils, obviously, but also finding a way of calming ourselves, our mind, and stop the chatter. There are many ways. Breath work. Rachel and I, we are both EFT, matrix reimprinting practitioners. That's a brilliant EFT as a technique. Tapping is a great one, and you can do it anywhere. Yeah, so take a photo of this, I would say, and try to use them and see what works for you. And let us know. That would be really great for us to know really what worked, because this is how we learn. As Rachel said at the beginning, neither of us are experts in this. I don't consider myself expert. I know quite a bit because of my background in functional medicine and health coaching, but I'm far from being an expert. And we shared mostly from our experiences and my experiences with clients as well. And yeah, so what works and what doesn't. I'm not going to talk about this, Rachel. Everybody can take a photo. We covered this. So
yeah, I think it's a good one to just take a picture of.
Can I ask, if you were talking to someone about menopause and they were just getting started, what would be your top tips?
Is that for me?
Either of you.
You go first, Laura. I've got a few.
Yeah, so it's far from being my expertise, the menopause. I'm not there yet, and I've had probably 1 or 2 clients with menopause only, but that wasn't the main issue. I would say definitely with menopause, look at listening to the body is such a cliche, and I hate using it now. But just be aware of the changes that happen in the body and try to go with the flow of that and adjust. Because what often happens when women get to menopause, they are either accepting what's happening to them, like we accept the period pains as women, and that's not normal, guys. It's not normal to have a period pains. To have a slight discomfort, that's okay. But I was told my entire life by my mom that that's normal. Everybody has bad cramps and period pains, because we are taught to believe that. And with the menopause, it's not normal to have bad mood swings and hot flushes. That's not normal. And just find what works and what doesn't. It's just a trial and error, I would say, with the menopause, like with everything else. But look at the diet, look at the movement. And this is something that if any PT is on the call, please excuse me. Women go into that high intensity workouts that, you know, actually brings more stress to the body than helps. We tend to go because that makes us sweat, and that can work for some women. But when you're at menopause, actually that might be detrimental to your health. So go into more, I know, Teresa, you go into yoga and slow exercise, diet, exercise, but try to pivot that and find what works at that stage of your life. That are first things I would say to someone going through that.
I would add to that there are 34 symptoms of menopause. Okay, so we think of hot flushes and periods going, no, there's so much more to it than just that. So things like Laura said, movement every day is really important, but a lot of it can be linked to our mental health as well. So people often can get brain fog. People can often feel that loss of not being able to reproduce anymore. Now, you might have been so done with your kids that you really don't want anymore, but when your body is then changing, it's about aging, it's about growing old, isn't it? And the acceptance of where you are in your life and where you're going. So when I work with people with EFT, I've actually worked with a few people with it's actually been about menopausal symptoms, and we've delved into what that means, and sometimes it will be meaning about the aging process. So don't forget your mind in this as well. Of course we have to look after our movement and our sleep, and do things to try and help with hot flushes, etc. The common themes, loss of libido. There's loads of physical stuff that can happen going through menopause, and it can be over a very long period of time as well. I think that's something that people forget. It can be over 10, 15 years that you're going through this. It does something for some people. It's a very slow, gradual process. And what Laura said about listening to your body, yeah, it's a bloody cliche, but with going through a change like menopause, which is huge, like it is when you're a teenager and you start having your periods, you do need to listen to your body, because it is changing and it's giving you indicators that parts of your body are changing, and the way you respond to it, you could respond to it as oh, I'm going through the menopause, I've just got to suck it up. Or you could say, oh, okay, I think this might be a sign of menopause. What can I do to help myself? I'm not in the menopause. I regularly have my periods, but I know that my body's starting to change. So I'm hearing that, and I know it sounds a bit hippie, but I'm trying to honor that, and I'm trying to work through the emotions with that as much as the physical, because I think they're intrinsically linked. Things like Laura said earlier, you touched on it, a really great one that I have found my metabolism has slowed down so much. I've put on like over 2 stone, and I don't know why I haven't changed my eating habits, my exercise habits. So my body is changing. So what I have found is doing intermittent fasting. So I will try and stop eating around 8 o'clock at night, which is still quite late, but I won't have my breakfast till probably 11, 12. So I've changed the way I'm eating, and that for me has got rid of a lot of those symptoms that I was feeling, and I feel more myself again. So look up intermittent fasting, like 16 hours of not eating. It can really help having a small window when we get to this stage of life. So menopause you could talk about forever, but remember there's 34 symptoms. And if you go to the doctors, they probably will just suggest HRT and nothing else. So maybe think about what your body needs first before you go down that route. There can be simple things that you can do to change.
And talking about HRT, she's not on this call, but one of the friends in our community from Bristol, she didn't want to go on the HRT, so she took the phytoestrogen and the bone complex and the Claricalm, and she really, really rated it in terms of, she said, ask my daughters, her teenage daughters, that, is it working or not? Because she just felt like a lot more
That's a really good point. Mood changes is a massive one. So PMS, like nothing else, when signs of menopause. So your mood, you're not being able to regulate that mood as well. A really good friend of mine works with menopause. That's my knowledge has come really from her and listening to her experiences and working with her clients as well. She's
in terms of doTERRA products, would you say that women's health kit as a starter?
Okay, so I tell you what I would do.
Yeah.
Personally, LLV, Mito 2 Max, the Women's Health Kit, Terrazyme, all of those have got a definite place going through menopause. And if you want to reduce your symptoms, then think about things that you can use to help that. So the oils we've gone through, Rose, Claricalm. Claricalm's not just for people that are ovulating, you know, it's for everyone. You've got so you've got Rose, you've got Claricalm. Basil, if you're suffering with the inflammation. Mood, I would go for all the emotional oils. There's so many that we've got in our toolkit. We can really suffer with brain fog, so maybe looking at oils that are good for focus. We've got a wealth of products that can really help us sail through, really, I believe. There we go.
And thanks for sharing, guys, on that topic.
No worries. So we've come to the end of our presentation. Is there any questions that anyone has asked that we haven't looked at? Let me have a look.
I absolutely, every week Rachel asks if there's any questions at 11:11. I
know.
that.
I saw that as well. Oh yeah, Joe Dispenser. I was Joan. I was really lucky. I spent a weekend with him doing his progressive workshop in Edinburgh when we were allowed to move around. It was absolutely incredible, and he has got an amazing meditation for the pineal gland. You're absolutely right. Thanks for reminding me of that one. I don't think we have any.
I don't think there are any other questions. I was just going to say Yarrow Pom. I heard Emily, well, everyone knows that you use it on your face, and I'm just going to show you, show people that haven't seen Yarrow Pom how blue it is, and it's with the pom, because you were talking about the pomegranate being good for hormonal balance, and there were ladies in the US that were using this that were losing dress sizes. So internally, because they were getting their hormones more balanced.
In the States as well, they have it in a capsule.
There we go, a little bit of internal. So that's got the yarrow and the pom together. Let me put that on too. And anyway, do you know what I love? We're coming together. This is what I'm feeling like we're doing, to kind of help ourselves be the best versions of ourselves. And can we put our hands up if you learned something new today? Some of you, it might be your first session. Some of you might have heard lots of different talks before, but did you learn something new today, guys? Yeah, hands up. Yeah, I
hope so.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of hormone talks about oils, but I learned new stuff today, and I really like the structure of how you guys put it together. So thank you so much for presenting and sharing. And I feel motivated to make that roller blend. I've written it down. I'm going to make that roller blend for me. And I never knew a magnolia for adrenals. So I learned a lot of different things, even though I've been to lots of talks on hormones. So thank you so much, guys.
It's a pleasure.
Was the magnolia on discount this month? Did I remember right?
Yeah, magnolia is actually 10% off this month, so you can get it.
And it's such an interesting plant story, Laura.
Yeah.
About the magnolia tree. That was always interesting to think about where the oils are coming from and the history of the plant. That's great. So anyway,
I'm going to stop recording.
Stop recording.